What's going on, everyone? My name is Matt, and today we're going to be going over a DeFi guide, portfolio breakdown, as well as some extra tidbits for the people that just got into DeFi or are looking into getting into DeFi. Before this video starts, just so you know, this is for educational purposes only and entertainment. This is not financial advice. Please do not listen to what I say. Do what you wish with this information. However, with that being said, this is my experience. This is what I've been doing. And of course, this portfolio breakdown is not going to work for every single person. It kind of depends on how large your portfolio is, your risk tolerance, and so on and so forth. So with that being said, let's get into the actual portfolio here. Let's turn off this camera, and we are over here now. Perfect. So this is the portfolio DeFi breakdown. So this is my portfolio, how it kind of looks like. Let's just adjust this really quickly. So this is what my portfolio personally looks like as a breakdown percentage. Obviously, it may vary for you. However, this is how I like it. So you have 30% in your stable coins. Now, why do you want 30% in your stable coins? This is just so you can have a very, very safe but steady yield on your crypto, as well as for liquidity reasons, right? Suppose you have this money in here and you see a project that pops up. However, all of your money is in other projects, for example, the other three categories, and you're like, shoot, I don't want to get out of those projects. Well, bam, you have some stable coins. You're able to enter projects with that if you're looking to get into a larger position. Now, obviously, you need to ensure, actually, we're going to break down more and more down the line. We have some extra stuff. So we have 35% on high cap projects. So that would be, for example, Ethereum, if you really like, Luna, AVAX, Near. There's a bunch of different projects. Really, if you want BNB, I stay away from Binance Smart Chain as much as possible. However, high caps are projects that you would like to continue to accumulate. Now let's go on to medium/high risk. Now this is 25%. A lot of people might disagree with me on how large a percentage this is. However, this is how I like it. These are projects that are not quite on the higher cap realm, so around 250 million market cap and below. And then we got 10% in degenerate. Now, degenerate 10% I think is a perfect sweet spot where I found, you can enter these projects, and obviously you're using money that you're willing to lose, right? And you're able to get these crazy high APRs as well as, 2Xs. And, if the project dies, you don't really, you're not going to cry about it because it's not 25% of your portfolio. Obviously not entering each project with 10% in the degen realm, but the high risk to reward is very high. So next disclaimer, this is once again a baseline portfolio breakdown. Port size and risk tolerances can and will affect your percentage breakdown within projects as well as different tiers. So let's look at project examples, which fall under stablecoins, right? So we're looking for a maximum safe bet on your stables. Once again, this is meant for liquidity purposes as well as just having a stable low yield income, right? Within passive income. So, a high well-established protocol or high well-established stable coin. I have a few favorites. I do have Tether on there. It's not really one of my favorites. These were just examples. However, UST, so the Terra stablecoin, as well as Frax. I'm loving those two currently. They're both algo stablecoins. And last year, a bunch of people were saying how algos were not really that smart of a bet. But, I like them. I think it's the way to go. You don't have to worry about backing issues and such. So, yeah. And preferably multi-platform. So UST is a multi-platform token, which means that you can bridge it to different layer ones, as well as, if you're going to go more centralized route, you're able to, bring it into the centralized area. Now, this is why, last one, housed within a trusted protocol. So once again, make sure that you know where you're putting your stables, as this is a very safe spot for, your safest investments here, right? So I use Anchor right now, I used to use Elephant Money. There was a really big issue. That was a little bit of a risky play on my behalf, but I did have money in Trunk and it got depegged. That was a learning experience for me. Lost 20% of my whole stable coin deposit on Trunk. It wasn't crazy, but make sure that your tokens are housed in a trusted portfolio, whether that be in liquidity pools. Pool pairs must be on stables. Last one here, I would consider, this one's a little bit of a mixture of stable coins as well as our next tier. However, if you have a larger portfolio, it might be a really smart idea. And by the way, this is a very illiquid thing, right? So keep that in mind. I guess this would be in its own realm. However, I would say it's up there. You have your what is it called? Your yield nodes. Yield nodes is amazing. It's a platform. I'm probably going to do a whole nother video on it because it's just so great. It's been running for, I think, 21 months now, 29 months, and steady 8% a month yields, which you can deposit USDT, and you don't have to worry. However, it is locked for 6 months unless you want to take a 25% fat withdrawal fee. So just keep that in mind. The next one is high caps, right? So these ones are going to be less volatile inherently because the market cap of them are a lot higher. The project should be something that you believe in the long term, right? So I've personally been holding Phantom and Luna for quite an extended amount of time. Held Luna since around October-ish. And then I've been holding Phantom for approximately the same amount of time. And I've been DCAing into both of those projects. Luckily for me, Luna exploded. So I was very lucky on that front. Now, remember that just because they are higher projects and there's less volatility, you're going to be getting lower yields, right? But the whole goal for this is to be accumulating more of that asset regardless of the price, because it's something that you believe in the long term. So if you're getting 7% yields on Terra, for example, and you're only doing a single-sided stake within the Terra station, so be it. Or you can be doing S Luna and Luna, or X Luna and Luna, and those rewards will go a bit higher. But the whole goal here is just to continue accumulating regardless of the price of the token, as it is something that you will believe in long term. Once again, make sure it's in a trusted and tested protocol. The last thing you want is a very large portion of your portfolio getting flash loaned out or something along those lines, because that's been happening a lot in DeFi currently. Okay, cool. Let's go into our examples, which fall under the tier of medium to high risk. So these protocols, make sure they have high TVLs, right? That's the whole name of the game here, right? Liquidity pool pairs you should be believing in. So these pairs should at least have one project in the pair that you believe will do well. Preferably 2 out of the 2 in the liquidity pool do well, because impermanent loss is a very real thing, right? And unfortunately, the stuff can happen if you're paired with a farming token and a medium project. I don't know, for example, if we're looking at Tomb, right? I would consider Tomb in this medium area, even though it is paired with Phantom and it's pegged to Phantom, right? So Tomb would be a great example of a project in here because the yields are pretty high. The protocol has quite a bit of TVL within it, and you're not going to be experiencing impermanent loss through that because it's an algo stable pinned to Phantom. And once again, these are around 200 to 200 or to 300 million market cap and below, and you'll be getting better yields on these, right? And now we have the tier of degenerate. This is the one that you guys have probably seen me posting about the most. Majority of my plays are actually on here, which I really need to change. However, I just wanted to show you guys what was possible. So degenerate is 10%, and you should not be throwing 10% of your whole degenerate area into one project, right? It's meant to be dispersed. That's the whole goal. And these are micro caps. So whether you're getting it in within the pre-sale, or you're getting it the day of release, or you're in a project, for however amount of time, make sure that, it's a low cap, right? That's the whole point of degenerate. This will have a lower TVL, obviously, right? Now, that's not always the case. However, within market or projects like I talk about, which is not just, yield farming or so on and so forth, forming via liquidity pools, TVL is going to be much lower within, the project as well as the market cap. For example, if we're looking at hybrid, right? But there's other protocols with a bunch of TVL because that's their whole goal, right? They're meant to be farming tokens. Now, these are going to give you really high yields, and majority of the time, you're going to want to be in and out of these projects. Why? Because of the next one is usually inflationary tokenomics, right? These projects are usually pumping and dumping really hard. For example, if we're looking at rebase projects right now, because that falls under DeFi, these projects pump and dump really hard because they push marketing as hard as possible. And then what happens? They dump. So you want to be in and out of these projects super fast. Always have your eye on them. A little tip for you. If you are using Dex Scanner, you're able to get notifications or set alerts on Telegram for price action. So I'd recommend that. And then inflationary tokenomics is for the yield farming protocols that you're using. So the native tokens are usually farming tokens, and data backing this information states and shows over time that farming tokens actually decline in value. This is due to the inflationary aspect of the token, right? Because there's so many flooded out on the market as they're being used to as rewards, and there's no actual buy pressure for them, that they're just going to continuously, steadily decline in value. So KYC and docs isn't mandatory within these projects. You're not going to see a lot of it. We're seeing it pop up a little bit now, but it's still, it's not always happening. So let's get to the next one. Matt's pyramid of dispersion. Looks like a pyramid scheme because it is. So we have my pyramid of dispersion. This is how I disperse my gains within different projects and how I ensure that everything is balanced. And I'm, utilizing the gains that I'm making to the maximum potential to grow my portfolio with the highest risk to reward ratio, as well as still being in a safe position. So we have our pyramid, right? You have 10, which is degenerate, and it trickles down. Our stables are our base. However, you see stables is only 30%, but high caps are 35%, right? So the main goal here is to have your degenerate play, right? And then once you're making gains off those degen plays, you're going to want to stick them in the medium to high caps, right? Majority of the amount of money that you're making from that. And then what you're doing here, once you get gains out of your medium to high caps, is you're throwing them in your high caps, right? And then if you'd like, I would say personally, I would get rid of 35 and 30 for the dispersion, right? And then I would just say smush them together, because you're not going to be taking profits on your high caps. The whole goal is to keep accumulating. So you can take your profits from medium to high caps and then disperse them between the high caps and stables, so the 30 and 35%. And, you can just continuously do this until, once again, you're using those stable coins in order to purchase more, positions in different protocols or projects. And eventually, in the long term, this strategy worked for me within the last few months, because you're protecting your assets as much as possible, but you're able to protect your downside, but you're also able to project your upside, because you're using the gains in a certain way in order to sustain what you are personally doing. Okay, and understanding risk association. So what is risk association? Risk association is what is associated with each investment that you make, right? So when you're looking at projects, this will mainly be for low caps or micro cap projects, because inherently those have a lot more risk, so you have to worry and do your due diligence. Now, this isn't really about researching, because this isn't a research video. However, this is more so of an educational. This is what you should probably take a peek at. So yeah, Each project has their inherent risks, obviously. However, microcaps are a lot more risky because total volume locked, their liquidity is a lot lower, market cap's a lot lower. A little bit of money can go a long way for percentages, right? But that's also really, really important. TVL is an indicator that shows how much money is being locked within that protocol. And when your TVL is up, that means that the market sentiment for that project is also up. And people are believing in that project a little bit more, right? It's not all God. It's not really, the end all be all. However, a lot of people have the idea that I'm not going to be entering a project if it doesn't have more than 20 million to 30 million total volume locked. To each their own. But yeah. So the next thing you want to look at is, have you seen this? Have you found this project on TikTok? If you have, I'd run for the hills for the most part. We've seen that Tomb was on TikTok, and it's still doing well. However, that's because it's an algorithmic stablecoin pegged to Phantom, right? For any other projects, the likelihood is you've missed the pump or you're going to get dumped on because you are the pump. So I would stay away from projects that are on TikTok, even if they're microcaps. Now, higher project tokens, that's completely fine. I would say anything in the 35% range or the 30% stablecoin range is completely fine for TikTok. However, I would recommend staying away from anything in the microcap or low cap area, or the degenerate area, right? Next thing is YouTube shills. Now, YouTube is full of these shills on YouTube, right? They get paid to promote videos. Now, I would recommend not going on a tangent here because I already have on another video. Just be aware of them, know when a project is a shill and which one are not shills. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that are absolutely amazing and they don't shill projects. Others are, but they're aware of it and they know, and they try to, show projects that they think have value and see value. Finding projects on a very large YouTube account, very unlikely that you're going to go anywhere with those, unfortunately, because it's just such a wide audience that, the TVL is going to jump and then the percents are going to go down. And inflationary/deflationary. Now, this one is important for risk association. Inflationary just means they keep on they keep on printing tokens, right? They're minting them. For example, rebase projects every 30 minutes. What does this mean? Once the buying pressure is no longer super high because the marketing is bleeding, the token's just going to continuously become less valuable, right? Even if people aren't selling because there's more of it. And then deflationary, on the other hand, is something like SafeMoon. We've seen SafeMoon. The deflationary tokens I would stay away from in total. Very, very deflationary tokenomics are not it, to say the least, right? So I would recommend staying away from them. It just means that they're burning every percentage of the, wow, I'm sorry, that was my dog. Every percentage of each transaction. Now, the last thing is risk association is project utility, right? So a project can be doing really well. However, there's no utility to it. So where would I associate that risk to? That would be considered on the lower end of microcaps. If it's a microcap token, because utility is key even with these really small tokens. The idea of utility is important too, right? But if a project's just saying, 2% a day, blah, 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 and there's nothing backing it besides Ponzi-nomics and people purchasing in, eventually, it's going to stop and the price is going to decline because there's nothing actually backing that project. All right, last page, I believe. Last one. DeFi according to ecosystem. Now, this is going to be the last little part. However, I think it's pretty much an important one. Binance Smart Chain is typically a no-go for me within the DeFi space. There's a lot of tokens, but the most amount of tokens in crypto are created on Binance Smart Chain because it's so easy to copy and paste code. It's an EVM. However, not just because it's an EVM, it's just one of the most well-known chains that projects are popping up on them 24/7. If you take a look at Dex Scanner, you can see that these things are popping up like money every single day. There's at least like 15, 20 new projects. Terra is for innovation. I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. If you're looking for innovation within the DeFi space and longevity and real projects that are trying to make a difference, I would highly recommend looking into the Terra ecosystem. They have amazing projects in there like White Whale that are, or Kojira that are, built to keep the peg of UST via arbitrage. Obviously, you have what Anchor, right? There's a lot of really great projects within the Terra ecosystem. I would highly recommend for innovation. Phantom is considered, high yield. There's a lot of high yield projects in there, so this is probably an area you want to look for, lower cap tokens. And then Chronos is for TVL growth opportunities, right? Chronos is the crypto.com's chain, and surprisingly they're not booming, right? They've had quite a bit of growth within TVL, but they definitely have a lot more room to expand, and you can see some amazing gains on the Chronos network. For example, there is, I can't think of the project right now. It's a token pinned, dark pinned to Crow. They're doing the same thing. It's a tomb fork. It's an amazing project. I will say that. So there's a lot of room for growth within Chronos. AVAX is for overall projects. I'm going to be honest. I've seen a lot of projects in AVAX from longevity, innovation, degenerate plays, and all in between. Now, other ecosystems are kind of a mismatch. Polygon, I don't really touch too much. There's been a few projects good there, and then Arbitrum is doing really well right now. However, it's kind of a little bit more risky, I would say personally, for very low layer one ecosystems for you to be getting into within DeFi, because there's just not a lot of money going into them right now, right? If you're willing to put that bet on and put money in a layer one that you see with a bunch of potential, albeit do it. It might be an amazing opportunity for you guys. Wow, I've been running for 22 minutes. That will be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, make sure you guys leave them in the comments or message me. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Have a great Easter. I'm recording this on Easter. So yeah, anyway, take it easy, guys.